In this week's interview, I had the pleasure of catching up with Josh, founder and CEO of Gnogen. Josh addressed the long-term vision of the project as well as why he and his team chose to build a metaverse on Elrond. So without further ado, I hope you'll enjoy this interview, and if you do, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more. Hey Josh, it's a pleasure.
Hey Lewis, hello. Thank you for having me on today.
For those who don't maybe know the project, or maybe this is their first time hearing about Gnogen, can you briefly sum up what the project is about?
We are, at first and foremost, an NFT project building on the Elrond blockchain, and I would say, it's a pretty complex project. So people first coming into Gnogen, they may not know which end of the sandwich to start eating from, to start comprehending this massive vision that I wanted to create and build something on the blockchain. So, I had been studying the NFT space for a while, and I didn't see a compelling blockchain gaming product. And I'm sure there are a lot of good teams. I'm sure things will be coming out, no doubt. Really good AAA titles. No doubt they will make their way to blockchain one day, but I just wasn't seeing enough of it. And so that's really what I want to do with Gnogen. So we're trying to build a blockchain game or ecosystem or platform that's actually very entertaining, and trying to do some interesting things with tokenomics and NFTs. Somewhat of a big experiment. And we can get into why I consider it an experiment a little bit later in this chat. But yeah, that is sort of the, every time someone asks me to introduce Gnogen, I give a different way to explain it because, again, it's very complex. But that's my version of it on this interview.
So you just spoke about building an ecosystem. And I think that's really what Gnogen is about, because you just talked about the actual NFT gaming, but there's more to it. What else is it that you guys are building right now?
Well, the overarching goal is to build a metaverse. Mm-hmm. To me, NFT projects always are struggling, just like crypto projects, to instill confidence. And so confidence doesn't really come from trading JPEGs or images of cartoons that go up and down with the hype. And I understand that's how a lot of the ways the game is being played right now. But really what we want to do is do something bigger than this. So we want to build a metaverse, right? I mean, it's contradictory. On one side, everyone's doing it. And on the other side, it seems to be a huge undertaking. Even companies like Facebook or Meta are struggling to figure it out. And so we're building a metaverse project, and then along the way to achieve and realize such a big dream, because obviously it requires a ton of resources, a ton of expertise and competency. We have a lot of other things to roll out, and as well as keep our community engaged, continue to build value until this metaverse can be delivered.
When it comes to value, what else does Gnogen add for the community and for the fan base to engage with and actually, as you said, stay in it for the long term?
I think that answer somewhat depends on what temperature it is outside. So if it's the bear market versus when it's a bull market, I think we represent different things to different people depending on the situation. So in a bull market, we could have been like just any other NFT project. I think we were in the beginning, and we were thriving in that bull market. And then when the bear market comes in, people, the assets that they're holding are worth a lot less. And so if they rely on some of that for cash flow in their daily lives, they're going to let go of the assets that they don't believe in long term. And they're going to really consolidate their holdings to the ones that either have the best team, or they have the most publicity, or they've got actual working products live. And so that's the challenge right now. We're in the bear market. And so the value add, there are many things an NFT project has to decide. One of those things being when the bear market comes in. Because your treasury is considerably smaller, you have to focus on where you want to bring value to your community. And there are short-term things projects can do, medium-term things, and long-term things. And so right now we're trying to focus on short and medium with the concentration internally that these short and medium-term actions will be two birds, one stone. They'll take care of our community and add value for the time being, but they're also essential stepping stones to realizing our long-term goals as well.
Can you go into a bit more detail what these steps would be?
The long-term vision is to release a metaverse, and this requires financial resources and it requires talent. And so those two requirements also require other things. And so there's a step-by-step that we have to follow in order to not only bring in the funding that we need for the metaverse, but also be the type of brand that the best builders and developers will want to go and work for and do their absolute best. In the short term, what we're doing is we're continuing to get out mining equipment. Mm-hmm. And so this mining equipment is crucial to the way the whole thing works and operates in the Gnogen ecosystem. Instead of selling our tokens, we want them to be mined. Mm-hmm. And this has several advantages. The primary one being that the token, GNG token, should not be considered a security token. We're not raising funding for it. We're not airdropping the token. People have to do their own work to get the token because they have to enter their NFTs, and then those NFTs are not guaranteed tokens in return. Mm-hmm. The way the token is actually mined on a granular level is, let's say you own 20 Gnogen NFTs that contain a power score, mm-hmm. right? And this is an important distinction, as not all of our NFTs contain a power score. So you hold 20 Gnogen NFTs that have a power score, and you want to enter all 20 of them into what we have branded as the Great War. The Great War. So you submit all 20 of your NFTs daily into our smart contract, and you press a button, and by pressing this button, you are committing to enter that day's war. Okay, mm-hmm. And so your 20 will be split up. As soon as the smart contract receives your 20 NFTs, they will split them into two piles, and to the left and to the right, left and right. And so you have 10 cards on the left, 10 cards on the right. So your 20 that you put in has been separated. But then everyone around the world who also wants to participate in the Great War has to do the same process. So all the Gnogen NFTs that contain a power score that they would like to enter into mining for that day, they have to enter them into the smart contract. The smart contract will receive them and split them, mm-hmm. left and right. And so when the cutoff time every day happens, that's it. The NFTs are locked into that day's game, and you have to wait until the next day to try again. So what happens when the cutoff time occurs and the submissions are closed? This left pile and this right pile will go into battle with one another. Mm-hmm. And basically you have two, assuming you have like 20,000 NFTs submitted that day. You have 10,000 here and 10,000 here. Just two piles. And so they're stacked, they're laying face down, and they're all the way, and this is all just happening on the blockchain, not mm-hmm. physically. Mm-hmm. So you take the first two cards at the top and you face them against each other. Mm-hmm. And then whoever has the higher power score will go into the winner's pile. Mm-hmm. Okay. A lower power score goes into the losing pile. And so you started with 10,000, 10,000, and as each one battles against each other, they enter into a new stack. And then once 10,000 battles have been simulated, you have another new stack now of results. You'll have winners, losers, and then you'll have the draw, the people who had identical power scores.
Yeah.
Now, you take the people who won, the stack of winners, and you add up all of their power scores. You take the summation of all those power scores. And that's going to be, I don't know how much that would be, maybe around 1 million or something like this, maybe 100,000 or something. Then, however many NFTs, remember you put in 20 at the very beginning of this process. Let's say 13 of those 20 proved victors for that day. They were the winners. So 13 of your 20 are in the winner's pile. You take the sum of all of your 13 NFTs, you would take the power score sum, and that new total over the winning stack's total power score is your proportion.
Okay.
Right, and so if your 13 added up to be 1,200, it would be over 800,000, and that would be, I don't even know if I did my math correctly. I think it's 2 decimal points, but that would be your cut, your proportion of that day's rewards. And these rewards every day are determined before the smart contract ever goes live. Each day's issuance is predetermined for the life of the distribution smart contract. Right now, 80% of the token supply for GNG, 80% of the entire historical supply will be distributed for free through the Great War over a 10-year period where you have a halving rate every year.
Okay.
And so this is how you have known issuance every day. And so you'll have variable input data because it will just depend how many people want to participate every single day. But then since the issuance quantity is known, you'll always know the smart contract can function and properly distribute those rewards.
How would players determine their NFTs' power levels?
So usually you can go into any NFT marketplace on Elrond. There's Dead Rare, there's XOXNO, there's Frame It, there's a couple other marketplaces, but in addition to marketplaces, you can also log into like wallet readers. There's a couple wallet reading websites or dApps on the Elrond blockchain. So once you log in, you go to your NFTs, and then you can click on any one of the Gnogen NFTs, and depending on what site you're on, they should display your metadata. So one of the things for people who are not super into NFTs, when you buy an NFT, you're not just buying the image, you're buying obviously the metadata, which it can be descriptions, it can be traits. So it's basically information that's tucked into the visual aspect.
You've already talked about the 10-year period that you guys have in mind, with obviously the tokenomics playing a big part in that. Maybe looking into the near future, what is the roadmap for Gnogen in 2022 and maybe even next year?
Yeah, I mean, we had a big roadmap before the bear market came in.
Yeah.
The roadmap is the same, but we have to prioritize a lot more than we have before. And so our roadmap for this year is, the core of Gnogen are our comic books. Gnogen, first and foremost, aspires to be an entertainment brand through our storytelling. So we have a comic series, Gnogen Comics. It takes a lot of cues from DC, Marvel, all superheroes, but that's what we're working on as our core value delivery to NFTs. And then we have, we're continuing to work on our PFP collections, trying to add as much utility as is possible in this bear market. We've got Gnogons, which this year, it's one of my big goals to at least get the beta for the racing game for Gnogons, so that our community can interact with this game and see where Gnogons is going to go.
Can you maybe quickly explain what Gnogons are for those of you, or for those of us, basically, who haven't heard of that yet?
So Gnogons is a NFT collection. There are 10,000 artworks in this collection, contained in this collection. They've been randomly generated, which means for NFT newbies, an artist or a team puts together all of these traits, individual traits, and then a computer will compile them 10,000 times so that you never see the same one twice, so that each one has its own DNA.
Yeah.
So this is Gnogons are. It's one of these 10K collections. It's on the Elrond blockchain. It was produced by Gnogen. They are mining equipment, first and foremost. They can mine the GNG token. But I wanted to create a 10K that had the potential to constantly be used over and over again in very meaningful ways, or meaningful in crypto and NFTs. And so we baked in a lot of metadata. Remember that word is all the traits underpinning the art. They're not typical metadata, I would say. So typical metadata is like the color of the hair, the color of the background, what kind of teeth do they have. So of course, those aesthetic things are in our metadata. They're in there. But in addition to these aesthetic traits, we put statistics. So that we have attack, defense, speed, intelligence, and heart. And so these statistics, my vision for them would be that they're used over and over again. So the power statistics we talked about before, it's used in the Great War. So you can use these NFTs to do something with them. Then the attack, defense, and speed, and heart, actually IQ as well. The other stats will be used in racing. And then really the sky is the limit when you've put statistics on the front end that are flexible.
Yeah.
You can plug them into different applications, whether they're built by us or they're built by some of our community members. And you can leverage these statistics as gameplay because, again, they are randomly generated. And so there's this instead of the same statistics going against each other, you have DNA built into actually how powerful these individual NFTs can be in a gaming type of app.
Out of all of these things that contribute to the Gnogenverse, as it's called, what's the next thing that the community can look forward to and actually interact with, play with, whatever it is, because you guys have so much on your plate as of right now?
For sure. And that's really what we're driving towards, is something that people can actually interact with. I think that's one of the big missing links in NFTs right now. The first thing that we're pushing hard for is the trading card game. So we haven't put that up yet. The trading card game is a PC game that Gnogen is developing, and you will be able to use the GNG token in this PC game. It's a card-based game, but it is what we're trying to build is something new. It's a type of card game, it's a type of PC game that hasn't really been seen before in this type of way. And we're trying to release 100 original artworks that go with it. These will be the season 1 of the cards.
Yeah.
So this will allow several things to utilize what we've already put out to our community. So you'll need GNG token, which means the miners come into utility, and it's felt more pronounced because you need the GNG token to play the game. So now you need the NFTs that have the mining ability to mine the GNG to play the game. And then, so that's one like bona fide use case right there for the GNG token.
Yeah. Talking about building during the bear market, what do you think right now are the biggest challenges and how will you overcome them?
What we're building now, it gives us a chance to catch up in a very short amount of time. And the reason why is because even though Gnogen has periods where our hype is high and it has periods where our hype is low, we're building blockchain gaming products that have the potential, assuming they're aesthetic and they're entertaining, the potential to really make up all the ground that we lose in any shorter time frame.
Yeah.
We can make up all that in a short amount of time. And the way to get there is people, especially in a bear market, they're tired of hearing things. They want to see things. They want to see things. It does a lot for the psychology in a bear market to see a team put something live that works and is actually entertaining. So that's really what we're shooting for.
You guys could have built on a couple of blockchains. Actually, why did you choose the Elrond network?
A lot of reasons. Really, there are a lot of reasons. Personally, I'm an Elrond maxi. Everything about Elrond, I'm a super fan. And I've been very public about being a super fan of Elrond. And so when Elrond didn't have NFTs, I was really starting to get into NFTs. And so I was looking at other chains. But as a founder, the potential to be a first mover on Elrond is, I think it speaks for itself. I think we're looking at a layer one blockchain monster that really has the under the hood requirements to go to number one, like number one blockchain on Earth. And then you look at the tokenomics, and if anybody, founder or investor, this is called early. And so anybody who's able to amass e-gold right now with knowing what's underneath the hood, it just seemed like, maybe I have a little bit of a gambling personality somewhere. I'm sure we all do somewhere inside of us. And I think, it's like, okay, you can make more on Ethereum today or Lana today. But if you look at 5 years, I can't with a straight face say that like Elrond is not going to surpass those chains. And so that was the heavy belief, still very prevalent in my belief system right now. But it takes, it's just like that meme that we see as investors, how everyone thinks it is, and it's a straight line, and then versus how it actually is, which is filled with all these dips and trick moments and things like that. And it takes conviction to walk down the path all the way to the end of the road. And we're in the thick of it right now. So yeah, there's just a lot I really like about Elrond personally, and then as a founder, as a technologist, it had too much reward on the risk reward spectrum, not to consider it as the best candidate. And so if Elrond gets the adoption that it's looking like it will get, then these first movers will have a hefty advantage.
Well, Josh, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it. And I think all that's left to say is all the best for you and your team. Obviously, you guys are still building, as are we.
Thank you. Thank you, Louis, for your time today and for having me on. Thank you, Istari Vision. Thank you, Wolfgang, and everybody at Istari Vision that I've had the privilege of working with. And I hope this is just the first of several interviews and podcasts that we do together.
Likewise. Have a nice day. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.